Good morning, I'm Robert Tan, sitting in for Mikey Oreta, and you're watching Business 360, where we break down the numbers, connect the dots, and give you the developments and the insights you need to navigate, adapt, and lead. Let's dive right in. Shipping costs to the U.S. rise further as President Trump's tariffs on Philippine products will take effect soon. The budget allocation for flood control projects next year will be reduced by billions of pesos. President Bongbong Marcos expects improved strategic relations with India. And U.S. President Donald Trump threatens to penalize India for buying oil from Russia. Let's take a look at how global financial markets performed overnight. Wall Street closed higher with investors bargain hunting after the previous day's sell-off and growing more optimistic about a possible rate cut in September. This follows Friday's weaker than expected jobs report. CME FedWatch says the odds of a September rate cut are now around 84%, with markets expecting at least 2 quarter points cuts by the end of this year.
I think the market is kind of feeling pretty good that we've moved past some of the chaos of last week, a little bit of the unknown with the big revisions to the unemployment figures, and now the market is back on solid footing and feeling like all's good in the world again. Tariffs are definitely looming, and they haven't really hit the markets or the economy yet. Consumer pricing hasn't really been impacted as of yet. So I do think that that is one dynamic that we can expect to impact as we move forward this year. Usually those impacts take some time to feed through the market.
The Dow Jones and the S&P 500 rose more than 1%, while Nasdaq added nearly 2%. In Europe, markets also rose. London's FTSE added nearly 0.7%. Germany's DAX and France's CAC 40 gained over 1%. The Philippine economy is expected to grow by 5.5% in the second quarter. That's based on a Business World poll of 17 economists, citing eased inflation, election-related spending, and stronger exports. If realized, the forecast would mark an improvement from the 5.4% growth in the first quarter, but still slower than the 6.5% expansion in the same period last year. Shipping costs to the United States are expected to rise further for Philippine traders this month. Global logistics provider Dimerco attributes this to front-loading of exports ahead of the upcoming U.S. tariffs. Other factors include the typhoon season and the upcoming holiday rush. Dimerco says rising rates are particularly evident in air freight. The firm notes that a 19% U.S. tariff on Philippine goods is set to take effect soon. Shippers are rushing to export before the deadline, driving up shipping costs to the U.S. Flood control projects are likely to face a budget cut next year. That's according to the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, despite persistent flooding across the country. DBM says the cut is due to the removal of budget insertions. The proposed 2026 allocation is 274.9 billion pesos, down from 346.6 billion pesos under the 2025 General Appropriations Act. However, Budget Secretary Amenah Pangandaman says funding could still increase, noting flood control offers long-term gains over short-term. President Bongbong Marcos kicks off his visit to India by meeting with the Filipino community at the Taj Mahal Hotel in New Delhi on Monday. During the event, Marcos said the Philippines and India has had excellent relations, but his visit and upcoming meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi seeks to elevate that relationship to a strategic partnership. These include defense, trade and investment, health, tourism, and other areas.
Ito na yata ang pinakamarami na cabinet secretary na nakasama ko sa biyahe sa abroad. Ito ay ang nagbibigay, napapakita kung anong halaga ang ibinibigay natin sa itong biyahe na ito, itong bisita na ito. Dahil marami talaga tayong iniisip na maaring gawin dito sa India kasama ang Pilipinas. Kaya pagkatapos na kumanta si Ambassador, dito lang ngayon lang ako nakakita ng Ambassador na ano yan? Karaoke diplomacy. Yung bagay na bagay yan sa atin mga Pilipino. Kaya pag-upo niya, sinabi ko sa kanya, pagkatapos nitong trip namin dito, magkakaroon kayo sa embassy ng napakaraming trabaho.
Despite low consumer confidence at -14, the weakest reading since late 2024, Filipino households are still expected to boost spending by 6% this year, hitting 13.9 trillion pesos. BMI, a Fitch Solutions company, cite easing inflation at 2.2% and rising purchasing power as key drivers of this growth. Real earnings are projected to climb 4.8% annually through 2029, while household purchasing power is set to be 12.5% higher in 2025 compared to 2019 levels. Still, BMI warns that high household debt could dampen this spending momentum. Philippine headline inflation eased to 0.9% in July. That's according to the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, down from 1.4% in June. The PSA says the slowdown was driven by softer price increases in housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels. Let's get insights on the latest inflation data and other hot issues. We'll be speaking with Manny Ocampo. He's the president and COO of the Investment and Capital Corporation of the Philippines. Good morning, Manny. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Robert. Morning.
Now, Manny, what are your thoughts on the latest July inflation data?
July was a good month for us. I think we saw, the good effects of declining prices of utilities in general and the continued decline of food prices. So, that has really benefited, shall we say, the Filipino consumer, and therefore you have inflation coming in at a 6-year low, pretty much on this one, lowest that we've seen for a bit of time already.
Now, Manny, what do you think drove inflation last month?
Oh, okay. Really, the reduction was utilities, Robert, and food prices. Rice continued to come down, and that's a big component of our inflation basket.
Do you expect this trend to continue in the coming months?
Okay. For August, maybe we throw a bit of caution, and that is really due to the floods that we had in late July. And, we may not be as lucky as far as the inflation uptick or the numbers may be concerned when we start figuring out inflation for this month of August, because the impact of shall we say, the crops getting destroyed because of flooding and all that, and therefore a rise in vegetable and maybe, hopefully not too much on rice, but we may see an uptick in inflation for this month of August. Probably.
Based on the latest data, do you think we're heading towards deflation, and is it something we should be concerned about?
No, I think no, we're far away from deflation. If anything, we probably will see an uptick in inflation for August. September, October will, maybe we'll start seeing prices to rise in anticipation of the Christmas spending season. So we'll, this is the par for the course about this time of the year anyway. So as long as inflation stays within the targets of the government, I think we should end the year pretty much below the government's target, because we've come up with really lower inflation numbers than expected for the past few months. Robert.
Having said that, what's your inflation outlook now for August and the rest of the year? What factors do you think will influence it?
Sure. We probably will stay within the 2% target of the government. So I don't think we should be surprised if we have an uptick in August, September to about 1.4, 1.5%. That is par for the course. this time of the year, there's usually an uptick. As long as it stays within those levels, below 2%, we should be okay.
Now, how would you assess President Marcos Jr.'s latest SONA? Was it sound in direction and substance?
Well, frankly speaking, we were maybe hoping to see more in terms of the government's pump priming activities for infrastructure projects in particular. Support for manufacturing is something we've always needed as a country, and that wasn't quite there. We were also hoping that again maybe addressing the elephant in the room, the tariff situation. The tariff itself, was not too bad, but shall we say, food exports to the United States are one of those commodities or categories that will feel the full impact of the 19% tariff rate. So maybe the president or his trade team could have negotiated for better terms on our food exports, Robert.
Manny, besides the tariff, you were mentioning you were hoping for more. Now, what other issues or sectors do you wish he focused more on?
Well, I'll name maybe four that there was very light or very, not or even nothing said. No, one would be energy. We continue to be, a country that will, because of growth rates, because of growth that we will have, we continue to be running at a deficit on power, and that becomes felt during the summer months. And 2026, if all goes well, for economic activity, I think we'll start feeling a bit of the deficits for energy next year. No, education was maybe another area that we wanted to hear more from the president, but nothing there. There was some mention about healthcare support, which is good, but again, maybe some more. Infrastructure is something we are in dire need of, and that is something which really the government would pump prime and maybe lead the way ahead of private sector. So that is maybe another area that we wanted to see the president mention. Maybe encourage foreign investments in these categories, because maybe locals are not, are stepping up to their limits already on investable funds.
You're mentioning encouraging foreign investments and local investments. Now, going back to the tariffs, how will Trump's 19% tariffs affect the country's economy?
Frankly speaking, it's not a bad deal. I think when you go down to the to the nitty-gritties of things, the 19% tariff will only affect about a third of our exports. We will continue to benefit on practically on exempt tariffs on semiconductors, which is a big export that we have to the government. We are net positive also as far as services exports to the United States is concerned. So your BPOs and all that remains to be, we're ahead on that one relative to our terms of trade with the United States. No, maybe we could negotiate for better terms on food exports, because that is still a big export to the United States, and we hope to get maybe better terms. So if the country, if the trade team were to negotiate on anything, maybe focus on our food exports to the United States.
Now, man, how would you rate the president's performance so far?
It is okay, but could be a lot better. Maybe let me say that much. In the State of the Nation address, he did mention addressing corruption. That words are there, statements are there. We hope that he will really act on it. That they will really work on addressing and minimizing or reducing corruption, if not totally eliminating it. He started to do that. Had started to roll in some areas, particularly on the infrastructure side, where you had flood control programs that really
Yes.
clearly were not working, and people responsible for these programs are now getting axed. So that's, to my mind, that's a positive step in the right direction. We could do more in that respect, and by doing that, he maybe improves his credibility also with the Filipino people. No, now, yeah, holding people
Yes.
accountable. I think that was, that's something he needs to do a lot better as well.
And Manny, if you could give
it-
Manny,
Yes.
and if you could give the president one piece of advice today, what would it be?
Oh, okay. Well, maybe one thing that President Marcos has been, could do better on is acting as the salesman of the country. And, because he is the head of the country, and he should really be the number one salesman for the country in terms of selling the Philippines to foreign investors, and the like, as far as maybe investments are concerned in the Philippines. And with investments, hopefully there will be employment generation, and that redounds to the benefit of everybody else. Robert?
Okay, thank you, Manny, for joining us this morning. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you also, Robert. And good morning.
We're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and narratives that matter most to your bottom line. Welcome back. The Agriculture Department is pushing to raise rice import tariffs to help move slow-moving local stocks into the market ahead of the next harvest. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. says local sales have slumped due to a surge in imports earlier this year. The proposal includes raising tariffs from 15 up to 35% in phases over several months. The tariff hike and a possible import halt to protect local farmers will be discussed during President Marcos' state visit to India. Let's get reactions on the planned rice import tariff hike. We'll be speaking with Rosendo So. He's the president of the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura, or SINAG. Good morning, Rosendo. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
So the Department of Agriculture is pushing for the temporary suspension of rice importation and an increase in tariffs on imported rice. Now, what is your reaction to this?
Yeah, we have a meeting last week with NEDA and, of course, Department of Agriculture. We have explained to them na yung international price have gone down. Higher, no? Because ang nangyari is naapektuhan yung ating mga local harvest dahil binabase nila dun sa international price.
Now, do you think this will be good for our local farmers?
Yeah, it will be good because trader will buy higher price of palay.
Now, how long do you think the suspension be of rice imports?
For that rice import, maybe sa time ng harvest, pwedeng siguro slow down yung pagpasok. Pagka after harvest, tuloy na naman yung pagpasok ng imported rice.
Currently, Rosendo, are local rice farmers able to sell their produce at a fair price in the market?
So far, the fresh harvest is only 8 to 10 pesos. So I don't think that is a fair price. So we need to increase the farm gate price so that farmers can plant again.
What would that be? You were mentioning we should increase the farm gate price. You were mentioning 8 to 10 pesos. How much do you think should it be?
The price of farm gate should be around 17 pesos. And the dry should be around 18.50 to 19 pesos.
Do you think that could be easily implemented or it's going to take some time?
If the tariff will be increased to 35%, the importer will base on the landed costs of rice. So with that, we think that the price of local palay buying from the farmers will increase to 17 to 18 pesos per kilo.
Now, has the harvest season started?
Next month is the harvest of Nueva Ecija and Tarlac, and October is will be a peak harvest of our nationwide.
Now, did the rice crop sustain much damage during the recent storms? Is that the reason why right now the prices are very low?
No. For the past year kasi, if we see it historically, the price of palay should be high. But since it's not moving, so traders are not buying the local palay from our farmers.
And finally, Rosendo, what do you think should the Department of Agriculture do more to help our local farmers today?
Yeah, for now, we just hope that the tariff will be go back to 35%. Automatically, traders will buy at a higher price of palay. That is the only way that can help the farmers now.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Rosendo So. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you. Good morning.
We're taking a short break. Business 360 will be right back. Trading at the Philippine Stock Exchange opened earlier. Let's look at the initial figures. The PSEI is in the green, trading at 63.59. Majority of the sub-indices are in the green. Advancers currently outpacing decliners 80 to 45. So far, value turnover has reached more than 723 million pesos. Dollar, meanwhile, in currency markets, the peso opened at 57.40 to the dollar, depreciating from previous close of 57.29. Another round of oil price hikes take effect today. Fuel companies Shell, Sea Oil, and Flying V, among others, have raised the price of their gasoline by 1 peso and 90 centavos per liter, diesel by 1 peso and 20 centavos per liter, and kerosene by 1 peso per liter. The price hike is slightly higher than what the Department of Energy projected over the weekend due to the global market's reaction to the US and UK trade deal, as well as Trump's sanctions on Russian and Iranian oil. Street parking in Metro Manila could soon be a thing of the past, but not everyone's convinced it's a good move. The Philippines' biggest and oldest auto club says it's time to hit the brakes and think things through. Our mobility correspondent, G. Baroga, has the story.
It looks shameful when you run something and you have to take it back because it's full of holes. It's embarrassing. It soils your reputation when you implement something and then you have to take it back. You cannot do this pala.
That's Automobile Association Philippines or AAP President Joe Ferreira and is not holding back when it comes to the proposed street parking ban. The DILG wants to prohibit parking from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. on secondary and tertiary roads. Meanwhile, MMDA's version ties the ban to number coding hours 7 to 10 a.m. and 5 to 8 p.m., specifically on side streets. Sounds simple? Not quite. In an interview with BNC Mobility, Ferreira says a policy like this shouldn't be rushed. It could affect millions of Filipinos for years, and if it's not done right, it might do more harm than good. He's also raising an eyebrow at the September 1 deadline for the resolution. Even if they push it to October, he says that's still cutting it close.
The first thing that you need to look at when it comes to that is the roadway itself that they are proposing is a residential area. Now, our problem is we have an old metropolis which had two-lane roads ever since. You cannot expand it anymore because the real estate is too expensive in order to buy out all of the houses in order to increase the road size.
For Ferreira, the bigger issue is how we make these decisions. He says it's important to listen to the people who'll be most affected: commuters, drivers, even pedestrians. And as far as AAP is concerned, they're always open to sit down with government and help.
We have the technical capability or understanding of motorists as well as people who are in the street, even pedestrians. So we don't mind sitting down with the we work with the local government. I think they listen to us one way. They don't have to follow us, but at least get a perspective as to how things should be done.
On the proposed no car, no garage policy, Ferreira's skeptical. He says it's out of touch with reality. For many Filipinos, owning a car is a dream, and with about 500,000 cars sold every year, it's clearly still a big aspiration. So what's a better way forward? Pointing to other countries like Japan, which is very congested, Ferreira says their government purchased a specific area and, together with the private sector, built a building that's 20 stories upward and 20 stories downward.
It's like a turntable. You enter the parking. It is going to go inside an elevator. The elevator will bring it to a floor, unmanned, all robotics, bring it to a floor with an empty slot, and it will be placed in that slot mechanically without the assistance of man. When you want your car back, you plug in your slot number because you have a receipt as to where your car is parked. The robots take over, take it from that particular floor and deliver it to the elevator, and when the elevator opens, your car is there. This can be a community parking system.
Ferreira believes that's doable. After all, other countries have already made it work. That's why he has advised to the government to improve urban mobility in the Philippines. Look to our neighbors who have done it successfully. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
Senator Ping Lacson backed Senator Win Gatchalian's proposal to upload all versions of the budget. Senator Lacson explained what ghost projects are and called for greater scrutiny of secretive bicameral meetings where these issues can occur.
Kalagay sa record, sa GAA, completed yung proyekto.
Ay, okay.
Pero pag tinignan mo sa ground, wala man lang nangyaring construction, maski ano. So yun ang ghost talaga. Ibig sabihin, 100% nawala yung pera.
ML Party List Representative Laila De Lima says the impeachment complaint against VP Sara Duterte is not yet dead in the water. De Lima says that despite the complaint being declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, their filing of a motion for reconsideration could change the SC's mind. However, Caloocan Representative Edgar Arisa believes that the Senate has made up its mind and will not listen to the Chamber's appeals or wait for the Supreme Court's final decision. We're taking a breather. Business 360 will be right back. U.S. President Donald Trump threatens to raise tariffs on India over its purchase of Russian oil. Trump did not elaborate on what the tariff would be. Just last week, he said he would impose a 25% tariff on goods imported from India in addition to an unspecified penalty. Sources told Reuters it will keep purchasing oil from Russia. India is the fifth largest economy next to the U.S., China, Germany, and Japan. The European Union will suspend for 6 months its planned countermeasures against President Trump's tariffs. A European Commission spokesperson said the EU will continue to work with the U.S. in implementing the tariff agreement reached by both parties on July 27. The suspended retaliatory tariffs include a response to the U.S. tariffs on EU steel and aluminum exports. President Trump and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen held an informal meeting in Scotland on July 27. After the meeting, Trump announced that the U.S. and the EU had reached a consensus on a new trade agreement. Singapore's billionaire property tycoon Ong Beng Seng pleads guilty to one charge of obstruction of justice. This is in connection with a high-profile corruption case that led to the jailing of a former Singapore transport minister. Last year, the 78-year-old Ong will be sentenced on August 15, but both the prosecution and defense are seeking judicial mercy due to his cancer. Tesla hands Elon Musk a $29 billion pay package to keep him on board as the company shifts focus from cars to robo-taxis and robots. The 96 million share award is a good faith move after a court voided his original $50 billion deal from 2018. Musk must stay in a top role for 2 years and hold the shares for 5 to claim them. Tesla investors will vote on a longer-term pay plan this November.
Look, Musk is the biggest asset when it comes to the AI revolution. The board knows that, and that's what shareholders wanted. And that's why this is such an important step for the board to make at this juncture.
A U.S.-based chip designer holds a 4-day summer camp in Taiwan for students. The program seeks to boost interest in semiconductor manufacturing among the youth. Chip companies and Taiwanese universities are conducting similar programs. There are concerns over whether the island can continue supplying talent to its semiconductor industry amid its rapidly declining birth rate. Job openings in Taiwan's semiconductor sector continue to rise.
I'm interested in robotics and some sort of tech things, so that's why I would like to understand what Taiwan is currently developing, and because semiconductors are a very key image of Taiwan, so I would like to understand more about that.
And that's it for Business 360. I'm Robert Tan, sitting in for Mikey Oreta. Thank you for joining us. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.